Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Crestwood, lived a wealthy man named Henry Kensington. He was known for his opulent lifestyle, residing in a grand mansion and possessing a vast fortune. However, beneath his lavish facade, Henry harbored a dark secret. One fateful evening, a mysterious murder occurred in the heart of Crestwood. A woman named Victoria, known for her philanthropy and kind nature, was brutally killed. Unfortunately for Henry, he found himself entangled in the web of this gruesome crime. As the evidence stacked against him, the once respected Henry was deemed the prime suspect. The judicial system, under immense public pressure to deliver justice swiftly, sentenced him to a high-security prison known as Ironheart Penitentiary. It was a grim fortress, famous for its impenetrable walls and strict guards. Behind bars, Henry's desperation grew day by day. He couldn't bear the thought of spending the rest of his life confined within those walls. Determined to regain his freedom, he began plotting an audacious escape. Word of Henry's wealth had reached the ears of the corrupt prison guard, Martin Sinclair. Martin had always yearned for a life of luxury, far beyond his humble means. When Henry approached him with a substantial bribe, Martin's greed overpowered his loyalty, and he agreed to assist in his escape. They concocted a daring plan. The prison had a mortuary within its premises, where deceased inmates were prepared for burial. The coffins of the departed were discreetly transported out of the prison at night, offering a potential route for Henry's escape. On a moonless night, with the sound of crickets providing a cloak of secrecy, Martin guided Henry through the labyrinthine corridors of Ironheart Penitentiary. The scent of dampness hung in the air, and the dim lighting cast eerie shadows along the way. The duo stealthily approached the mortuary, where an array of coffins lay in wait. Henry's heart raced with anticipation and fear as he climbed inside one of the empty coffins. It was a moment of intense claustrophobia, the weight of the wooden box pressing down on him. He felt a pang of anxiety, wondering if he had made a terrible mistake. Martin closed the lid of the coffin, sealing Henry within its dark confines. The guard's voice whispered through the cracks, assuring him of their success. Henry trusted his fate to Martin, believing that his freedom lay just beyond the graveyard. The coffin was loaded onto a small cart, joined by other coffins holding the deceased. Under the moonlit sky, the cart began its slow journey, led by the eerie silence that accompanied the dead. Hours passed, and Henry's anticipation mingled with the suffocating darkness. He yearned for the cool touch of fresh air, waiting for the opportune moment when Martin would help him escape from his wooden prison. Finally, the cart reached the burial site, where an open grave awaited each coffin. The gravediggers lowered each one into the earth, performing their solemn duty with practiced precision. As Henry's coffin descended into the earth, he clenched his fists, bracing himself for the next chapter of his escape. Then, as the earth settled around him, Henry heard a muffled sound. It was the creaking of the coffin lid above him. Hope surged within him, and he eagerly awaited Martin's assistance. As the lid cracked open, Henry's eyes widened in shock. It was not Martin's face he saw, but the lifeless, cold gaze of the very guard who had promised him freedom. Martin had orchestrated his own death and burial, choosing to escape alongside Henry. Henry's mind raced as he tried to comprehend this shocking betrayal. The guard's motives remained a mystery to Henry. Was it a sinister plan all along, or did Martin simply succumb to the temptation of vanishing with Henry's wealth? The truth eluded him as he stared into the guard's lifeless eyes. Panicked, Henry realized he had no time to waste. He couldn't afford to be buried alive with a deceased prison guard. Summoning his courage, he swiftly took action. With adrenaline coursing through his veins, he maneuvered his body to push the guard aside and emerge from the coffin. Gasping for air, Henry clawed his way out of the earth and stumbled onto the moonlit graveyard. He glanced around, heart pounding, acutely aware that he had narrowly escaped a ghastly fate. The chilling silence was broken only by the distant howl of a lone wolf. Determined to put the betrayal behind him, Henry pushed forward, desperate to find his way to freedom. Guided by the light of the stars, he navigated through the desolate landscape, his mind racing with thoughts of how he would rebuild his life and prove his innocence. Days turned into nights, and nights into days, as Henry evaded capture and forged ahead. He traversed treacherous terrain, hiding during daylight and cautiously making his way under the cover of darkness. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, and exhaustion threatened to overtake him, but his will to survive pushed him forward. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Henry stumbled upon a small village on the outskirts of Crestwood. The villagers regarded him with suspicion, for news of his alleged crime had reached even the remotest corners. However, one kind-hearted innkeeper, Eleanor, saw past the accusations and recognized the desperation in his eyes. Moved by Henry's story, Eleanor offered him shelter and protection, vouching for his innocence to the skeptical villagers. With her help, Henry slowly regained his strength and began formulating a plan to uncover the truth behind Victoria's murder and clear his name. Together, Henry and Eleanor delved into the depths of Crestwood's underbelly, investigating every lead and uncovering hidden secrets. Their relentless pursuit of justice brought them face to face with the true culprits behind the murder, unveiling a twisted web of deceit and betrayal. As the evidence mounted, Henry's name was vindicated, and the true orchestrators of the crime were apprehended. The truth that had eluded him for so long finally came to light, providing closure to Victoria's grieving family and restoring Henry's reputation. With justice served, Henry dedicated his life to honoring Victoria's memory and making amends for his past. He used his wealth to establish foundations and charities, supporting causes close to Victoria's heart. And by his side, supporting him every step of the way, was Eleanor, the innkeeper who had seen the good within him when the world saw only darkness. As the years passed, Henry and Eleanor's bond grew stronger. They married and created a life together, built on trust, love, and the shared understanding of the power of second chances. But every now and then, in the quiet moments of solitude, Henry couldn't help but think back to that fateful night in the graveyard. He would never forget the feeling of betrayal or the cold stare of the guard who had planned to escape alongside him in death. It served as a constant reminder of the darkness that once consumed his life and the strength it took to emerge into the light. And in those moments, Henry Kensington would silently thank fate for leading him down a treacherous path, for it was that very path that had ultimately set him free.